What's going on, Vol fans? Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. On today's show, I'm going to tell you about a major report that we got from college football insider Pete Thamel, who he tells you one guy that sources have told him to keep an eye on when it comes to Tennessee's search for their next defensive coordinator. I'll tell you who that is and my thoughts about that in just a couple of seconds. But if you're here for the first time, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are 103 subs away from our biggest milestone yet. Let's get there by the end of the day. Daily videos, all 100% free. Would really appreciate you guys helping me out. Big challenge for Vol Nation. Get us to 10K subs. And with that, let's get on with the rest of the video. Well, if you missed it and somehow live under a rock, Tim Banks will not return as the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. Austin Price was the one who broke the news earlier today. Him and Josh Heupel, they just decide to go in two different directions. And I believe this was the right call. I think you probably believe that this was the right call as well, because when you look at how this team has done against ranked opponents, this year, last year, and frankly, since Tim Banks has been at the helm of the defensive side of the football, it just has not been good enough. This year, they gave up almost 40 points a game against ranked teams, 14th in the SEC. Last year, the year that everybody tells you they had a really good defense, which they did, it was much better than this year, but still, against ranked teams in 2024, they gave up 30 points a game, and since 2022, 34.4 points a game. Josh Heupel made the right decision. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the same decision that you or I would have made if we were in his shoes as well. It felt a little bit that the heat was turned up on Josh. He felt it, and he knew that something had to change. Well, now that that happens, right, everybody's really, really relieved that they're making a change at that position. Now the attention turns to who replaces him. Because you got one thing done, but now you got an upgrade. And that's the thing. That's the hard part about this whole situation. Anybody can fire a defensive coordinator, but the hard part is finding someone who's next that's going to be an upgrade from the guy you already had in the building. Well, Pete Thamel reported this afternoon that one name to keep an eye on for Tennessee is Washington defensive coordinator Ryan Walters. Sources tell him and Chris Lowe for On Sports. Former Purdue head coach was on staff with Josh Heupel at Missouri. Pete Thamel goes into a little bit more detail about it. The former Purdue head coach is in year one at Washington. Ryan Walters' defense in Seattle finished the regular season in the top 20 in total defense in FBS, allowing 311.4 yards per game. It's a notable improvement after the Huskies finished 55th a year ago. He was the co-defensive coordinator at Missouri when Heupel was on staff. And funny enough, that is not the first time that they crossed paths. Back in 2012, Ryan Walters was a GA for Oklahoma when Josh Heupel was most recently with the Sooners. Here's his career in the recent past half decade, a little bit over that. 2018 to 2020, that's when he was the defensive coordinator for the Missouri Tigers, And then he got the bump up to Illinois in 2021 and 2022. He was the defensive coordinator for the Fighting Illini. Purdue took a chance on him, made him their head coach for 2 years. Did not work out, but he rebounded in a big way, and he got hired by Jedd Fisch to be the Washington Huskies defensive coordinator, and that is where he sits currently. Let's throw it back a couple of years to Illinois, because this is the reason he got that head coaching job at Purdue in 2023. What he was able to do with the Fighting Illini was unbelievable. Their scoring defense in 2020, or their total defense and scoring defense in 2020, 97th and 114th. That was the year before Ryan Walters took over as defensive coordinator for the Fighting Illini. And then you saw massive changes in the years to follow. 2021, their scoring defense went up to 29th. Their total defense went up to 49th. Then flash forward to 2022. This was the season that won him the head coaching job for Purdue. First in scoring, 12.3 points a game. Second in total, 263.8 yards a game. Really did massive, massive things in a very, very quick turnaround for a defense, which the year before he took it over was abysmal. Not as bad as Tennessee's was this past year, but wasn't very good. So it's obvious that he's qualified, right? And some guys just are coordinators in this game. They're not head coaches. They're coordinators. And I believe that Ryan Walters might be one of those guys. Now, maybe he landed in a bad spot with Purdue. I don't think Purdue is anybody's dream landing spot. Maybe if he goes somewhere with better resources, a better recruiting base that's just set up for success, maybe he could have success as a head coach at some point in the future. But it's obvious right now that where he thrives is being the head coach of the defensive side of the football, which is perfect for Tennessee. There's a couple things I love about him. Number one, he's coached for an up-tempo offense, right? He was on staff when Josh Heupel was in Missouri. He knows exactly what it's like to coach defense for a Josh Heupel-led offense. He's been a head coach before in this league. We've talked about this when it comes to the defensive coordinator for Tennessee in the future. I would like to have a guy who's been a head coach before, because when you look at Josh Heupel's involvement in the offensive side of the football, he leaves the defensive side of the football, I don't want to say untouched, but he does not have a ton of, I don't want to say in what the defense does, but his hands are much more focused on what the offense is doing than the defense. And so you kind of have to be a head coach of that side of the football. Ryan Walters has head coaching experience. He coaches from the sideline, something I love, something you know I've talked about a ton. I like when guys can be on the sideline to get into their players' faces, coach them intentionally, coach them in person instead of over a microphone or on the phone. I also like the fact that he's 39 years old, okay? Also, Jason Swain, he's in on it as well. Quoted the Pete Nako's tweet and just said 4 letters, stud. That's it. If this was the call, if this was the hire, I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'd be pretty excited about it. I really, really would. Now, you'll know who my number one guy is tomorrow. Ryan Walters isn't my number one. He's up there high, though. Okay, so if this ended up happening, believe me, I would be thrilled about it. What would your one-word reaction be if the Vols hired Walters? You let me know down below in that comment section. Weigh in. Give me your answer. I've heard a lot of people talk about William Inch. Okay, William Inch is going to be the interim defensive coordinator for the bowl game. I've got a couple thoughts on it. Number one, I don't think there's any shot whatsoever that he is promoted from within and becomes the defensive coordinator. Okay? That's my first thought. My second thought is I don't even think that would be the correct decision. That is not what I would want whatsoever. And I really like William Inch, but I just think you've got to move on. Okay? You've got to move on. You need someone new, someone fresh, someone with an outsider's perspective of how this team was ran and coached for the last 4 years. Someone could come in with new ideas and a new look at things. That's what you need. You don't need to keep somebody around because it's easy. Easy has gotten you to the point where you have a bottom 20 defense in FBS. That's where easy has gotten you. Don't do easy anymore, okay? Now, with that being said, if you are going to move on, I wouldn't mind one bit not moving on from Rodney Garner, okay? He's an unbelievable recruiter. He coaches NFL talent year in and year out. I mean, just look what the Vols were able to do on the defensive line on early signing day. 1 4-star flip, edge rusher. 1 3-star flip, interior defensive lineman. Another 4-star that signed that went into the day not committed to anywhere. Keep Rodney Garner on staff. Keep Chop Robinson. Let them control and take care of the defensive line. And then get a defensive coordinator and have him bring all his new guys with him. And if he wants to bring a defensive line coach, then sure, let him make that call. But if you can't keep Rodney Garner, I love the way this guy coaches these guys. Believe me, I've seen it firsthand. It's intense. It's fun. And I think it'd be an asset to keep on this staff. Something that could be an asset to you is chatsports.com/UT Black Hoodie. You can get this black hoodie for sale. Was $60. Now it is $35. Okay, $25 off. I could do the quick math, alrighty, so you guys need to take advantage of it as quickly as you can. That link's in the comment section and description of today's video. If you need a Christmas present, if you need anything, if you want a Christmas present for yourself, this is the perfect time to get it. Again, chatsports.com/UT Black Hoodie. So we're going to talk about Josh Heupel for the next couple of bit, and then we're going to quickly run down my hotboard 2.0. It's changed a little bit even from this morning. So Josh Heupel spoke about this in his Monday press conference. He said, tough decision. However, it needed to be made for the future of our program. And I love him saying that because this is his program. And I love that he's taking ownership of it. Right? This is his call. If this defense doesn't work out, if this team doesn't win games, his ass is on the line next, okay? I can promise you that. It wasn't good enough. Josh Heupel saw that, and now he's taking control, which is what we needed to have. And it did. So now you're 10 days, no, more than that, maybe less than that. When did you play Vandy? 9 days ago? 9 days ago. You're 9 days removed from losing to Vandy, and you signed a top 7 class, got Raider defensive coordinator. It's a pretty good 9 days for Josh Heupel. All right, let's run down my hot board 2.0 before we get on out of here. Now, I will tell you, Walters is on this list, but since we just talked about him for like 7 minutes, I'm not going to put him on here. This is everybody else outside of Walters. Will Muschamp, think he's a guy we need to talk about. He's a defensive analyst right now for Georgia. He's been out of the game coordinating-wise for a couple of years, but I still think he's a guy that would be a massive, massive asset. And what does he do? What do I love? Coaches with intensity. Gerard Mayo, I think, is a conversation we've got to have. He's without a job right now. Obviously did not do great things at the head coach spot for the New England Patriots. However, he coached for 5 years under one of the best defensive minds in the game in Bill Belichick. And look at Matt Patricia. I get it. Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator before he took over at Ohio State, but still, everybody thought his career was over. He hadn't coached in college since 2003 when he was a GA at Syracuse, and now Ohio State has one of the best defenses in the country. Gerard Mayo's not my number 1 guy. He's not my number 2 guy, but I do believe he's a guy that we need to have a conversation about. Jim Knowles feels like he's kind of sitting in the middle of purgatory right now. You don't know where he's going to go next, and sure, they did not have the best defense at Penn State, but he's still a year removed from winning a national championship for Ohio State. Travaris Robinson, this guy I'm incredibly high on. He's young. He's coached under Kirby Smart. I think it would be a home run hire. The only knock on him, which I know a lot of people are looking for, I am as well, he does not have coordinating experience. He's the co-defensive coordinator for Georgia right now, but of course, that kind of runs through Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart. So it's like Kirby, Glenn, then Robinson. So, don't know if he has enough experience to take over as defensive coordinator right now. And then Jay Bateman is another interesting answer. Defensive coordinator right now for A&M. And you might ask Joey, nobody's going to jump from A&M to Tennessee. Like, those are very similar jobs. I agree with you. I hear what you're saying. But Mike Elko is the play caller on the defensive side of the football. So Jay Bateman could look at this opportunity as a chance to take a step up in his career and start calling plays. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials. Joey Petersen on Twitter, TikTok, Joey_Vols, Instagram, Joey Petersen as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Daily videos right here on Tennessee Football Talk. And we'll see you tomorrow.